8:15 on Tuesday night's Arena. Rumours surfaced last week that KLF, the band formed in 1987 by Bill Drummond and Jim Cauty, were returning after a 25-year hiatus. £1 million burned, but they're on the way back, seemingly. We'll hear more about them shortly, but first let's go back to one of their biggest hits in a version that features Tammy Wynette. Justified and Ancient from the KLF, and a recording that featured Tammy Wynette. Siobhan Kane joins me now to shed some light on the story that the KLF are about to reform and to refresh our memory on the band's career to date. Bring us back first of all to 1987, which, given that we were just hearing about the Joshua Tree, was quite a year. It was the year that Bill Drummond and Jim Cauty met and formed the KLF. How did it happen, Siobhan?
They did. Well, Bill Drummond was really very much a label A&R guy. He was managing Echo and the Bunnymen, Teardrop Explodes, and he had been at art school in Liverpool, and he actually signed Jimmy's band called Brilliant, and history has kind of said that maybe it wasn't so brilliant, but he decided when he was 33 and a third to give up A&R, get out of the music industry as a label man, because it was, the vinyl LP, 33 revolutions per minute.
33 and a third revolutions per minute, in fact, yeah.
And he felt that he needed a revolution of his own. So he gave that, he kind of finished with that, and then he was walking one day and had an idea that he wanted to do a hip-hop record, and thought, there's only one man that I can think that will actually come on board with me, and it was Jimmy.
And what happened to the rest of the band? Were they kind of sidelined?
Well,
or who was brought on board?
It was Jimmy and Bill.
That was it, just the two of them?
Very much, because they kind of shared this worldview, which was, they'd shared a love of these kind of strange novels that were a trilogy by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson that was called the Illuminatis trilogy, which this kind of science fiction, magic, myth, very strange and quite brilliant underground novels that they both had actually come to reading separately.
The Illuminatis sound like something from a Dan Brown novel, but this is different, is it?
Well, it's funny because Dan would be hugely influenced by these novels.
Right.
They're kind of seen as kind of pulpy, but their reach has been very cult and kind of has gone far and wide. And it was a strange thing that the two of them had independently read these novels. So there's this idea of Discordianism, which is a huge theme that runs through the
and
novels.
Explain that it's a type of philosophy. I've just heard Discordianism.
Yes, and religion as well. That it's very much about worshipping Eris, the goddess of chaos and discord, and venerating her in whatever way you can. And a part of the narratives, very non-linear narratives, these novels, in the third person then it mingles out. It's all about trying to feed the establishment false facts and just disrupting where possible.
And how did that all feed into the music, do you think? Because, I mean, what we heard there was not discordant in any way, shape or form, even though that's a later version than because that was their first big hit, really, wasn't it, in 1987?
It was the one that crossed over, really, as well, because of there's this discord in the sense of putting somebody like Tammy Wynette,
all right,
so synonymous with country and especially Nashville, and especially at that period in her career, and bringing her, to these men that are kind of rave culture, pop music augmented by hip hop. There's the idea of disruption of received wisdoms about what pop music should be.
All right, and I suppose the part of that disruption was to give their first album in 1987 the title "What the Fuck Is Going On," so that everybody had to disrupt lots of people by saying the title. I guess it was part of the philosophy.
That's true, and that's a theme that's run right through. In kind of they kind of are very interested in numerology as well, and the idea that they're going to reform or something's going to happen this year, these posters that have been popping up around London, and again it's very much in that vein of kind of what's happening, and it's all about messing around with language and again received wisdoms about what that might be.
Yeah, well, I suppose one received wisdom that most people would have is if you're lucky enough to have £1 million, don't burn it. They did this. When was that? Why was that? Is it all part of this, again, shock tactic?
This is true. This came kind of post-KLF, their own self-imposed hiatus when they said goodbye to the music industry at the Brit Awards in 92. And then they
just after 5 years?
That's it.
So unexpected again.
In a way, it's true. It's like the perfect pop song maybe is 3 minutes long, and then the KLF's lifespan was 5 years long. And at 1991, they were the best-selling singles band in the world. They'd gone to number one with Justified and Ancient with Tammy Wynette in 18 countries in 91. And 91 was a big year for them because when they were at the height of their powers, they invited all the world's media to go to this remote Scottish island given their passports, dress in yellow robes. All the journalists then exploded a 60-foot wicker man. So they never did anything that was expected, and in fact was much more subversive. So 92, the end of their relationship with the music industry, firing blank bullets into the crowd at the Brits, leaving a dead sheep at one of the after-show parties, and doing this kind of thrash metal mashup of 3am Eternal. And then they developed this thing called the K Foundation, which was basically a subversive response to the Turner Prize, and as they would have regarded it, pompous, kind of inflated perhaps award ceremonies. And they have this fund, £40,000, that they give to Rachel Whiteread, who just won the Turner Prize, and they gave her the prize for World's Worst Artist, in the same year. So this happens, and then the £1 million, which is really the story that's followed them around, and one might say haunted in a way, has clouded so much of the other stuff, is they go to Jura. Scotland is a big touchstone for them. Bill, is Scottish.
Bill Cauty, yeah.
And Bill, very much that's a touchstone for him, as Ireland is. And also there's Liverpool as well, which is another geographical touchstone, because that's where he met Jimmy and that's where he went to art school. But 94 is where they burn
the £1 million.
And they film it, and then they go around various places trying to explain to people why they decided to make that statement, which was very much an artistic statement for them.
Go back to 3am Eternal and tell us what was so special about that.
Well, it kind of comes with it's in, again, numerology. It comes in a 3. Their kind of idea of the state, they kind of not coined the term stadium house, but that's followed them around a bit too, because there was this other section of their kind of cultural career which was all about trance and house and very much embracing rave culture. So they had 3am Eternal, they had What Time Is Love. These were seen as real stadium house singles. And then 3am Eternal is a swan song to some extent, because it's the last time they perform live, which was at the Brits in this very odd thrash rave kind of mashup, which was totally unexpected, with Barney Greenaway from Napalm Death of all things. But it kind of made sense. Again, disruption and discord.
Time is Eternal, 3am Eternal, the name of the track there from the KLF. Rumours of their reforming of what we are speaking about tonight, and Siobhan Kane is here talking about that. Just briefly, Siobhan, when they did split up, they went their separate ways and worked as solo artists.
Solo artists, and very much Jimmy's he did a lot of remixes. Actually had U2 on there earlier, and he did a remix of Electrical Storm actually back in the day for them. And so he's very much in the visual art field, and he works with this it was seen as an underground gallery, the Aquarium, which is now changed its name recently to the L17 Light Company, which he does a lot of really interesting, disruptive anti-art.
And Bill Cauty, is he still in the disruptive mood as well?
Oh, Bill is very much so. He has his own kind of project collective called the Pelkin Burn, which goes right back to his childhood growing up in Scotland, and it refers to a river that he used to play with. And he's done, there's just not enough time to talk about what he's done.
The question is, I suppose, given these guys are so famous for stunts, could this all be a stunt itself? Even rumours. How did the rumours, who started them?
It's very interesting. On the 5th of January, it's almost like they were always so good at almost dictating the temperature of media, because they knew so well. And also Bill Drummond, as a manager of Echo and the Bunnymen and an A&R man, he understood publicity, he understood how it works, and so they knew that this YouTube footage emerged of kind of a composite of their videos and footage, and then a poster was found on Kingsland Road in Hackney in London, and then it was noted by somebody who tweeted it, who happens to be Bill Drummond's manager, and then after that...
So whether it's orchestrated or not is a moot point, I suppose. We don't know, but are they coming back, do you think? Should we care, or is this, guys who can afford to burn £1 million, which would go a long way in to solve a lot of problems for a lot of people?
I know, I do understand that point, and a lot of people have kind of wondered about that over the years. But in the sense, I think it was so interesting that they did do it, and in another way, they couldn't actually afford to burn it. That was the interesting thing. Sometimes it's this idea of regret, because it's not that they're swimming in riches.
Have they ever expressed regret?
No, Jimmy has been a little bit more grey about it. Bill never walks the line of regret. But it's also the idea that I care very much that they might be coming back, but it's actually the intention or the dialogue around it is exactly what they want, because it's important. There's an appetite for discussion about thoughtful pop music.
And here we are, doing just what they want us to do. That's Siobhan
Exactly.
Kane talking to us about the KLF and their possible return to music. August the 23rd, 2017 is when we'll find out.
Or not.
Or not, as the case may be. All right, tonight's